Every person who has felt a certain call to discern a vocation to the priesthood or religious life will tell you that at some point they experience that call in a very personal way. And if you look at the way Jesus called his first apostles, he never did it by sending a delegate. He never did by sending a mission or not even a letter. He chose to call each person individually and personally, each by name. The stories that you're about to hear are from men that have been discerning a call to the priesthood. And you'll see in each of these stories that they're all very, very unique, but each and every one of them in some stage of their development, in some stage of discernment of that call, will tell you that they've experienced this coming to them personally. Perhaps it was through another person, somebody else's example, maybe an experience that they had, but unmistakably there was that sense that the Lord was calling me by name, individually, as he may be calling you. Are you listening?
Well, I thought about the vocation of the priesthood when I was in junior high school. I actually went as far as visiting a seminary to see about going to a high school seminary, and frankly, the idea did not sit well with me at the time, and I sort of put it back in the box. But when I went away to college, I fell in love with a beautiful woman and got married. I had 3 wonderful kids. Marilyn died about 10 years ago, and after she passed away, I began to again ponder whether or not God had been calling me to the vocation of the priesthood at that stage in my life. There's no doubt in my mind that when we got married, that was the right thing to be doing. But this was a different time, a different spot in my life, and I began to think that God was asking me for something else. I think when people come to their vocation as their second career and they're concerned about the timeline or their ability to go back to school, or are they holy enough to do this given the life that they've lived, I think I remind them mostly of the fact that God calls as God calls when God calls. The most important question is to decide whether or not God is calling you or you just think this is something you should be doing. And that requires a great deal of discernment and patience in talking with God. At the ordination itself, I was humbled by the outpouring of love that I had from my family and friends. I was a veterinarian for a long time. I worked nationally. There were veterinarians from all over the country that came there that day. Most of them weren't Catholic. Most of them left with a completely different appreciation of what the sacrament of ordination was like. I think that having lived a life full of joys and sorrows has helped me to really identify with people in all stages of their life. I think having raised my children in the church has given me a better appreciation of what it means to be a mother and a father to children in a church, and to adults, and to wives, and to husbands, and to parents, and siblings. I celebrated baptisms this morning. It was a wonderful experience to be able to celebrate baptisms, having had our own children baptized. The most fertile grounds for talking about vocations are with little kids. Kids who have got such wonderful imaginations, not fantasy, but imaginations that let them see themselves where God wants them to be and not where society has already assigned them to be. So I think early talks about vocations with kids that are kind and generous and caring and selfless and have all the virtues, and plant that seed. It may be like it was for me, a seed that was meant to blossom and grow much later in life. But I think that early involvement with young kids is so very incredibly important to help them be able to be open to the vocation whenever it comes in their life.